At the axis of the recall campaign versus Secretary of State lawsuit is the question, how many registered voters are active and how many are inactive? But what do those terms really mean and who is considered inactive? We're going to explain in your breakdown. First, you've got to know that the Louisiana Secretary of State is responsible for keeping an updated voter roll and relies heavily on the Registrar of Voters to accomplish that task. Classifying voters as active versus inactive is not the same as purging voters from the rolls. The difference is important. An active voter is a fairly regular voter who keeps their address current. An inactive voter is someone who has moved and not confirmed or updated their new address, and someone who hasn't voted in the last 2 federal elections or any other race in between. Purging voters involves removing any voters who have died or been convicted of a felony. Now let's pull up Louisiana election code. Inactive voters are not purged from the voter roll, but because they haven't voted in years, they are not counted in the number of ballots required for election, they're not counted in the precinct, and they're not counted in the number of signatures needed for petitions like the recall. But if they do vote or they sign a petition and have proof of their address, they once again become an active voter. The mayor has said the recall campaign's lawsuit to correct the number of inactive voters in Orleans Parish will disenfranchise Black voters. But the process of moving voters to inactive status was actually created to protect Black voters from being purged from voter rolls. The National Voter Registration Act of 1993, or the Motor Voter Act, limits the reasons a state may remove a voter from the rolls, and it requires states to keep their lists current, which is why states established the active and inactive classifications. All of this to say Orleans Parish is not purging registered voters. And even if you're considered inactive by the state, you can still vote and you can still update your address online. If you think you're considered inactive, you can look up your name online. We've got a link in this story on WWLTV.com.